online.
Dozens of Israeli military reservists have been sacked for refusing to conduct intelligence missions in the West Bank. They were told they'd committed a grave breach of military conduct after they wrote a joint letter to Prime Minister Netanyahu. That letter says the intelligence they were gathering in the West Bank was harming, they thought, civilians and being used for political persecution, and that they were therefore incapable of continuing to serve the system. After the military sacked the reservists then, RT asked the group for comment. They told us they believe commanders were trying to make the issues they're raising go away by simply firing them. I spoke to Yishai Menuchin. He's executive director of the Public Committee Against Torture in Israel. He told me it's not the first such incident like this either.
The occupation is more than 47 years old. Thousands of Israeli soldiers are refusing every year to take part in it. It's important that it was the first time of this allied intelligence unit members say enough is enough. We are not willing to take part in it because all this issue of occupation and ongoing repression of Palestinians have no political end. This is not the first time that refusal was on the map of Israel. The media doesn't cover it. Most of us fed up. We don't want to continue to check other people, to enter into civilian neighborhoods, to take part in things that we evaluate as war crimes.
British MPs are debating yet another delay in the release of a report on the UK's role in the 2003 Iraq war. It's already been 6 years in the making, but the findings of the inquiry won't now be published until after the general election this coming May.
I think you would have been hard pushed to have found virtually anybody who doubted he had WMD and a WMD capability and programme.
Well, then UK Prime Minister Tony Blair was firm, along with his American counterpart at the time, that Saddam Hussein's regime had weapons of mass destruction. Military action was authorised, the dictator eventually was toppled and executed, yet no WMDs were found. Anti-war activist Michael Raddy sceptical that the findings will be an eye-opener anyway, even when they're revealed.
There's nothing in the report that's going to be a shock to most people. Most people know that Blair had promised to stand shoulder to shoulder with George Bush after 9/11. The fact that 9/11 or Al-Qaeda had nothing to do with Iraq whatsoever didn't matter. I'm sure that Tony Blair has his legal team working furiously on this to make sure that he won't be implicated and the final published report won't become a basis for any further criminal inquiries into his behaviour.
Current Prime Minister David Cameron expressed frustration about the delay, but he stressed that he had no intention to intervene. Michael Raddy again told us that it's no wonder the publication is adjourned until after the spring vote now.
It will affect the outcome of the vote because it's obviously going to be fairly critical of political figures, whether they be Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, even David Cameron and William Hague. They all had their own part to play. They all voted. Most of the MPs voted for the Iraq War. How it all comes out and what the private discussions were, if any of that is published, may affect the public opinion towards these MPs or towards the parties that they were part of.
Clashes have escalated in Bahrain, where thousands of demonstrators are calling for the release of imprisoned Shia opposition leader Sheikh Ali Salman. Protesters threw rocks at police who responded with tear gas. Salman's arrest in late December sparked near-daily protests across the kingdom. He's charged with trying to overthrow the country's political regime and, if found guilty, could face up to 19 years in prison. Anger over America's role in Yemen has seen crowds turn out in the capital, Sana'a. Earlier this week, a US drone strike killed 3 suspected terrorists as part of a long-running military campaign. Demonstrators burned American flags and pictures of President Obama. Yemen is in the grip of a deep political crisis. The Shia Houthi rebel group recently forced the collapse of the Washington-backed government.